Thanks for tuning in, everybody. My name is Brock Page, and I do random sports picks for fun. You also might be surprised as to who I'm picking in the NBA today. If you just can't wait and you want to save yourself some time, check out my picks for this video in the description section below. Once again, I have to remind you that I am not a sports betting expert, nor do I implore you to take any of my picks. A wise man once said, good ain't free and free ain't good. If for some reason you decide to use the free information on this program, you're utilizing it at your own discretion. And with that said, let's get into some picks for the 21st. First game I have for you, Chicago plus 6.5 at Toronto. Total points dropped down to 201.5. Currently, Toronto's laying 294 on the money line. And at the moment, 60% of the bettors think Toronto will get the job done. Speaking of Toronto getting the job done, they've done just that, successfully covering the spread in 3 of their last 4. They're facing a Chicago team who's covered just 17 of 35 games on the road. They're also covering just 46% versus teams allowing more than 1 or 2 a game. On a lighter note, Chicago games have gone under the total posted points in 2 of their last 3. All that said, I'm in full agreement with the bettors, and I am taking Toronto minus 6.5, getting the job done against the spread. When it comes to total points, I'm once again in full agreement with my fellow degenerates, and I am taking the under 201.5. And when it comes to the money line cash, I think Toronto's going to win this one outright. Next game I have for you, Detroit minus 5 at Brooklyn. Total points dropped down to an even 215. Currently, the Pistons are laying 208 on the money line, and at the moment, 59% of the bettors think the Detroit Pistons will get the job done. Speaking of Detroit getting the job done, it just hasn't been happening as the Pistons have failed to cover in 3 of their previous 4 games. Along with failing to cover in their first matchup with Brooklyn, the Pistons have covered just 12 of 33 games on the road. They're facing a Brooklyn team who's successfully covered the spread in 2 of their last 3. On a lighter note, Detroit games have gone under the line in 3 of their last 4. All that said, I got to go against the bettors on this one as I am taking Brooklyn plus 5, getting the job done against the spread. When it comes to the total points, I side with the bettors on this one as I am taking the under 215. And when it comes to the money line cash, I think Detroit pulls this one out in a close one. I'm also adjusting the line and taking Brooklyn plus 15 as the first pick of my 10-point teaser. I'm also moving the line once again and taking the under 225 as the second pick of that very same teaser. Next game, Memphis at New Orleans. The betting opened up with the Pelicans as the 3-point favorites with the total points at 205.5. Since then, New Orleans is now minus 2.5 against the spread, with the total points dropping down to an even 205. Currently, the Pelicans are laying 140 on the money line, and at the moment, 61% of the bettors think New Orleans will get the job done. Speaking of New Orleans, they've struggled against the number when it comes to Memphis, going 1-2 against the spread versus the Grizzlies. New Orleans also covered just 8 of 18 as the official home favorite and just 14 of 32 against teams over 500. They're facing a red-hot Memphis team who has won and covered in their last 4 straight. On a lighter note, New Orleans games have gone over the line in their last 3 consecutively. All that said, I'm ready to make my picks, and I am taking the Memphis Grizzlies plus 2.5, getting the job done against the spread. When it comes to the total points, I'm taking the over 205, and when it comes to the money line cash, I'm picking Memphis to win. I'm also adjusting the line and taking Memphis plus 12.5 as the third pick of my 10-point teaser number 1. Next pick, Golden State at Dallas. The betting opened up with the Warriors as the 5.5-point favorites, with the total points at 211. Since then, Golden State's now just minus 4 against the spread, with the total points dropping to 209.5. Speaking of the Warriors, they've actually struggled as the official road favorite, covering just 14 of 35 games. They're also covering a measly 28% of their games versus teams under 500. In addition to all that, Golden State has covered just 35% in the second game of a back-to-back. They're facing a Mavericks team who's covered 2 of their last 3 and have gone 17-9 against the spread against teams over 500. Here's an interesting fact for you. Golden State contests have gone under the total posted points in 12 of their last 13 games. All that said, I'm ready to make my pick, and I am taking the Dallas Mavericks plus 4, getting the job done against the spread. When it comes to the total points, I'm taking the under 209.5. And when it comes to the money line cash, I think the Golden State Warriors win this one outright in a real close one. I'm also adjusting the line and taking Dallas plus 14 as the fourth and final pick of my 10-point teaser number 1. Next game, San Antonio minus 5 at Minnesota. Total points are at 205.5. Currently, the Spurs are laying 200 on the money line, and at the moment, 61% of the bettors think San Antonio will get the job done. Speaking of the Spurs, they're facing a Minnesota team who's struggled against a number as of late, failing to cover in 3 of their previous 4 matchups. They're also covering just 40% versus teams allowing less than 99 points a game. On a lighter note, both teams' games have gone over the total posted points in their last 4 respectively. All that said, I am once again in full agreement with the bettors, and I am taking San Antonio minus 5, getting the job done against the spread. When it comes to the total points, I'm taking the over 205.5, and when it comes to the money line cash, I'm taking the Spurs to win this one outright. I'm also adjusting the line and taking Minnesota plus 15 as the first pick of 10-point teaser number 2. I'm also moving the line once again and taking the over 195.5 in that very same teaser. Next game, Milwaukee plus 5 at Portland, with the total points dropping down to an even 215. The Milwaukee Bucks have been pretty bad against the number, covering just 1 out of their last 4 games. Not only have they covered just 9 of 25 as the official road underdog, but they've also covered just 7 of 18 games at the current point spread. They're facing a Portland team who's covered their last 3 games with outright wins over the likes of Miami, Atlanta, and San Antonio. On a lighter note, Milwaukee's last 3 games have all gone under the total posted points. All that said, I'm ready to make a pick, and I am taking the Portland Trailblazers, minus 5, getting the job done against the spread. When it comes to the total points, I'm in full agreement with the bettors, and I am taking the under 215. And when it comes to the money line cash, I have Portland winning this game. I'm also adjusting the line and taking the under 225 as the third pick of teaser number 2. Next and final game for the show, LA Clippers at the LA Lakers. The betting opened up with the Clippers as the 10-point favorites, with the total points at an even 219. Since then, the Clippers are now minus 8 against the spread, with the total points jumping up to 221. When it comes to the spread, the Clippers have been fairly lackluster on the road, covering just 17 of 37 games. They're also covering just 40% as the official road favorite. In addition to all that, the LA Clippers are covering just 42% of their games at the current point spread. They're facing a Lakers team who successfully covered the spread in their last 2 games. Lakers games have also gone over the total posted points in 3 of their last 4. All that said, I'm ready to make my final picks for the show, and I am taking the LA Lakers plus 8, getting the job done against the spread. When it comes to the total points, I'm taking the over 221. And when it comes to the money line cash, I have the LA Clippers winning this one outright in a close one. I'm also adjusting the line and taking the Lakers plus 18 as the fourth and final pick of teaser number 2. Just a reminder, my 10-point Sweetheart Super Teasers pay 5 to 6 and get graded as a loss should any game result in a push. You can find this exotic wager in several online sports books and in the state of Delaware. Well, folks, that is going to do it for me. Once again, I have to remind you that I am not a sports betting expert, nor do I implore you to take any of my picks. A wise man once said, good ain't free and free ain't good. If for some reason you decide to use the free information on this program, you're utilizing it at your own discretion. Most importantly, if you're betting any of these games, do it safe, do it responsibly, and most important, have fun. For Brock Page Predictions and Sports Picks, I'm Brock Page, and have yourself a positive day.